Let's talk Tanya for the 10th of Av. In yesterday's Tanya, we spoke about two different types of relationships that we can experience with God. One of them from Chitzonius Halev, the external dimension of the heart, which is a relationship which is based on reason and logic. And then there is a relationship which is from Pnimius Halev, the essence of the heart, the center, the core of the heart, the internal part of the heart. And that is a relationship with God which comes from the core of our being. It's not logical. It's just because of who we are, because we have a neshama, which is a godly spark. Obviously, that's the kind of relationship we want to experience, but we also know we don't all experience that kind of relationship, and the question is why? We all have that at our core. We have that love for God at our core. Why can't we experience it? So the Alter Rebbe explains the reason why we can't experience it is because the core of our heart, for most of us, has been hijacked. And instead of using it and directing it towards God, we direct it towards material goals, and we have this illogical drive to have physical attainments and luxuries in life. And all of these things, all of these illogical desires that we have over here in this world, they get in the way of us directing the essence of our heart towards God. These are what the Alter Rebbe calls an arla. An arla is a blockage. And when we have an arla, we need to make a bris. We need to make a circumcision. We know the Torah talks about, obviously, there's the physical circumcision, which all men need to do. But then the Torah also talks about the arlas halev, the blockage that's covering the heart, which doesn't allow us to experience that incredible relationship with God. And we need to do a bris on the heart, a spiritual bris, removing the blockages, allowing us to experience that relationship. In terms of this arlas halev, the blockage of the heart, it is addressed twice in the Torah. One time the Torah says, Umaltem es arlas levavchem, you should circumcise and remove the blockage of your heart. There's another pasuk which is talking about the redemption where it says, Umal Hashem elikecha es levavcha, that God will circumcise your heart. So which one is it? Is it us or is it God? So Alter Rebbe explains both of us play a role. Just like in a physical bris, there is the thick foreskin, which has to be removed, it has to be cut off. That's called the milah. But then there's a second part to the process of the bris called priya. Priya means that there is a thin skin, a thin membrane after the thick foreskin is removed, and that also has to be removed. The same thing is when it comes to the arla, the blockage of the heart, there is the thick blockage and there's a thin blockage. The thick blockage is the coarse, lowly desires that we have and that we are illogically drawn towards. That's something we can remove. We can do the bris on that. But then there's the subtle desires that we have, the subtle comforts that we have and that we're attached to. And those are too difficult for us to remove on our own. For that, we need God to step in. After we do step number one, after we remove the thick skin, God removes the thin skin, revealing the heart, the center of the heart, and that relationship with God. And when we have that, we have redemption. That is what redemption is. Redemption is being able to enjoy that incredibly intense and passionate relationship with God. That will happen when Mashiach comes. However, on a personal level, every single one of us is meant to experience this redemption every single day during davening. Davening is supposed to be that fiery experience where we remove the blockage, and God then does his job and removes the small, subtle blockages, and we're able to experience this passionate desire for God. We started off this chapter saying, Ein Yisrael Negalin Ella B'Tzedakah, that we will only be redeemed through tzedakah. We now understand what redemption is. Redemption is experiencing that relationship with God from the Pnimius Halev, from the center of the heart. What does tzedakah have to do with it? That we'll find out, God willing, in tomorrow's Tanya.